So, Ocarina of Time randomized community multiworld. It's going to be a thing in about a week, and this video is going to explain what it is, when it's going to happen, and hopefully everything that you would need to know to, you know, find out if you were interested in joining it. So, let's get the basic stuff out of the way first here. I assume you know what Ocarina of Time is, and you presumably know what a randomizer is. If you don't, then this may not be for you. But as for the multi-world aspect of it, I've done these before, and I've uploaded one to my channel. Did one a while back with Joel, Martin, and Autumn, and it's a pretty fun time. Basically what happens is when you randomize the game and it shuffles all the item locations around, instead of just doing that once, it does it a bunch of times and creates multiple copies of the world, all with items in different locations. And then everybody who's playing connects to a server and plays at the same time. And whenever you pick up an item, it has a very good chance of not belonging to you. It will be sent to another player who is connected to the server, and they will get an item. And the opposite also, of course, works, where, you know, you'll just randomly get an item out of nowhere because somebody found one in their game that goes to you. And so this is going to apply to every single item in the game, whether it's, you know, an important progression thing like the hook shot, or, you know, heart pieces, skulltula tokens, or just rupees, or junk items, or ice traps. It's all going to be in this pool. And so the goal of the game is basically to get everybody to be able to finish the game. And that basically means that, you know, everybody's going to be checking every single item location until every single person is able to get to Ganondorf and win. And that can take a long time. I'm expecting at least 30 hours. So this is going to be a bit of a commitment. And so that's my number one concern with this, is scheduling. And we're going to be talking about that here. There are other concerns that I expect other people to have, such as technical issues and familiarity with the game, which I'll be touching on in a minute because I have answers to those. As for scheduling, I should also mention this is open to anybody. This is not just like a patron thing. Anybody who, you know, is watching this and thinks that sounds cool, I want to do that, is more than welcome to join, as long as you can be consistent. That's the number one important thing, is you have to be available. This is going to be starting next Saturday, which is July 2nd, probably sometime around noon in my time zone, which is Central US. That is a little open to interpretation. I'm going to be willing to make some wiggle room there, but it's probably going to be sometime around there. It can't be significantly later, and it pretty much has to be Saturday, unfortunately. I would like to have more wiggle room on that also, but it's just too hard to get, you know, the people that I know want to be in this, to get everybody to kind of work out it. That's really the only open day. So if that absolutely cannot work for you, then I'm sorry, because I do want to try to get as many people in this as I can, but I can't work magic, unfortunately. It's basically going to be like scheduling a D&D campaign. You know, if you can't make it, that sucks, but we can't really do anything about it. So what we're going to do then is, you know, if you think that's open, like if you think you're open for that time, I'm going to have a link to a Discord server, and, you know, you can let us know. You can tell us your schedule, and we'll try to make this work. So the number one thing, though, is consistency. You absolutely need to be able to, like, you know, confidently say you'll be available at that time every day, because it's going to be, like I said, at least a 30-hour project, and I'm planning on this going for about 4 to 5 hours at a time. It's basically just as long as we can manage until somebody has to go. And this is the thing, you know, once you've started, you kind of have to see this through. It's like Jumanji. You know, if you make the first session and can't make the second one, that kind of throws everything off, because like, if we were going to continue without you, that basically means that people are going to be sending you items that you're not picking up, which can be a problem if you do try to come back later, because now it's been a week. I don't know if they'll even still be in the queue. You won't be able to send items to people because you're not going to be there. It basically just messes everything up. So there is a workaround, but the workaround really, really sucks. As far as I'm aware, if you absolutely have to, like, set someone as, they're done, they're not coming back, we can take all of the items in your game and send them out to everybody, but it has to be done. Basically, every single item has to be an individual code that is typed in, and there's, hundreds of items. So it's tedious. It's really annoying to figure out what has to be sent in the first place, and you can't change your mind afterwards because now your world is empty and there's no point for you to play anymore. So I'm going to basically say that even though that option does technically exist, I really, really do not want to use it because it sounds terrible. So basically, like I said, if you want to join in on this, you have to be confident that you'll be available for a decent chunk of time every, like, Saturday at the same time for a few months until this is finished. Hopefully that didn't scare everybody off, because I really do want to get, a decent number of people in this, but that is the most important thing. So, with that out of the way, here's the other concerns that I expect people to have. Number one is basically not knowing, like, how do I get this to work? I've never done anything like this. It's going to be too complicated. I don't think I can do it. That should not be an issue. I know that me just saying, like, oh, don't worry about it, like, that's not doing anything, but we have instructions right here. It's actually really simple to do it. We're going to have, a link to the emulator. Just download this and we'll give you the seed and everything. There's going to be a few other things, but we'll go over that in a minute. The instructions for getting this set up are right here. That's really all that you have to do, and I'll even show it right now. You get the game running in BizHawk. You go to Lua console. You open a script. If you use the download that we send you, it's going to be one folder back. Run this. Double click this. Once you're in here, you choose a server. It's going to be, we'll figure out what the name of it is. We'll put in the server. Then you will probably have something to type in here. We'll tell you what that is. Put in your name. Put in your player number, which we'll give you. Set Ocarina time and join room. And that is literally it. There is nothing more to it than that. As long as you have a computer that doesn't suck and internet that doesn't suck, that is all you need to have. There's no, like, port forwarding. There's nothing confusing you have to set up or, like, settings you have to change anywhere. That really should be it. So hopefully that will eliminate that potential fear that people might have. The other thing that I'm fully expecting a lot of people to say is that they aren't convinced that they have enough knowledge of the game to be able to do this. And I'm going to say that, in some cases that might be valid. If you've never played the game, you probably shouldn't do this. But if you've beaten the game at least once, you're probably good enough. And here's why. Because I feel like, having familiarity with how the world is laid out, what all the items do, that type of stuff, like, that familiarity, you're going to need that. But as far as, knowing the ins and outs of every single location and where every item is and how you get through every dungeon, you don't really need that. And I did my best to help with it. So here's how that part's going to work. We have a tracker. You're going to be using this tracker constantly. This is the most important tool that you have. The way that this works is there's a list of items up here, lists every single item in the game, including the keys, and then you have a list of every location in the game, which you can also get to by clicking the buttons on the map, and each location lists every item in the area. And this is going to include chests, gifts from NPCs, Skulltulas, Deku Scrub salesmen that can sell you stuff, Cows, because you can get milk from them, and that's randomized. The interiors of shops, the shop items are going to be randomized. Possibly even a few other things I'm forgetting. But everything is going to be mixed up. And so basically, let's say you start the game out and even the starting location is not guaranteed. You're not going to necessarily appear in Kokiri Forest. Let's say it dumps you in Zora's River and you have no inventory at all. And it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, right now, the settings I have on here, I have the minimum required items to beat the game with. But, you can turn these off and on, and as you do that, it's going to change the available items here. If it's green, that means that the area is completely, you can get everything in it. Down here, it says 440 available. That's how many items are in the game. But, if you don't have the bombs, or the bow, or the hook shot, or the hammer, or the boomerang, that's going to turn off a lot of items. So now I only have 258 available. So basically, when you start out the game, you're going to give yourself the sword, because we're going to have you start with that, and a couple songs, and that's basically it. And you'll have a few green spots on this map. So if an area is red, there's nothing you can do there. If it's yellow, you can get a couple items there. Anything that's in green you can get. If it's green, that means you can get everything there. So you're going to use that to judge what stuff is available. So, let's say you go, you start out the game, you go into Hyrule Field, and you get the free grotto item, and let's say, that gives you something that gives you access to more stuff, so you mark that off, and then there you go. And that's basically how the progression is going to work for the whole thing. You have to keep on top of it. You constantly mark off what items you have, what things you've collected, and you should be good, as long as you keep up with it constantly. And I can hear you now saying, but I don't know the game 100%. I don't know what these item locations are. I see Field Open Grotto. I don't know what that is. And don't worry, I've thought of that too. I have taken the last few days to painstakingly write out the locations of every single item in the game in a couple of text documents. These are all of the Overworld items. And these are all of the dungeon items. There's a lot of them. I did a lot of writing. This took me about 40 hours probably. I didn't finish Ganon's Castle yet. That's the one area I still have to do. So yeah, I basically did what I could to help. So let's again look at the example here. Hyrule Field South Grotto. I don't know where that is. Where do I go to get that? So you go to your Overworld items, find Hyrule Field. Of course, you can use Control F to jump through this. And what did I say it was? South Grotto. So right here, open grotto in south part of map, slightly northeast of the square made of fences. Hopefully that explains, where that is. You can find it. You get your free item. Some of them are going to be little more complicated than that. So let's look at Kakariko Village. Kakariko Redead Grotto. It's like, okay, what is that? I don't know what that is. So we go to Kakariko Village. And like I said, this one is a little more cryptic. There is a grotto roughly in the middle of the village's open entrance area. I do my best to explain it, and hopefully that's good enough to show you where it is. Now, the dungeon ones are a little different. I've got, like I said, all the dungeon items listed, but they can be a little bit harder to describe where everything is. So let's look at, for instance, bottom of the well. Let's say back left bombable. It's like, okay, I've got the description. I've got the description right here, but if you're still not exactly sure what that means, then for every item in the dungeons, I have a letter, and that corresponds to these maps that I made, which also took a shit ton of time. So we're looking at bottom of the well. Which one did I say it was? Back right bombable, or back left bombable, I think it was. Yeah, that's F. There it is, right there on the map. You go there, you get the item. If it's not obvious what to do, the thing will explain it. I also marked all of the locked doors. For the water temple, I marked where the controllers are. I tried to make everything as clear as possible for giant clusterfucks like the training ground. because they're kind of complicated. I really did my best to make this approachable. So again, you do not need to know the game perfectly. I've got resources, and even if the resources aren't good enough, then you can still ask, because we're all going to be playing at the same time. You can post in the Discord group, and that should we'll have I'll keep an eye on that. You can ask me in the Twitch chat, that type of stuff. You'll have help. That's basically what I want to say, is don't let unfamiliarity with the game be your big hurdle here. But yeah, like I said, this I'm going to be streaming it. As far as I'm aware, Autumn and Joel are going to be playing with me. I know Autumn definitely is. Joel, I think, is. We're hoping. It depends on busyness. So we'll probably be in a call together streaming it. It's not going to be a big group call with everybody, though, because that can be a bit much. There's possibilities I might kind of, open up the group call. If people want to have one going, I can kind of go in one for a few minutes and then back out or something, just kind of check in. But it's not going to be going the entire time. And that is hopefully it. I think I've covered basically everything I can here. So, like I said, if this sounds fun to you and like something that you're able to do, and if you are able to consistently, you can guarantee you're going to show up every week, then I'd like to have you, because the more people, the better. I don't expect to have a massive turnout for this, but if we can have 10 people running around, that'll be pretty cool. So I'll have the link to the Discord group in the description, and if there's anything else I didn't address that you have concerned about, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, like I said, the actual getting everything set up and scheduling issues will work out in the Discord group, so I hope to see you there.